So, when you don't know how to do something, how to fix something, or how something works, what do? Ask a teacher? Ask your parents? Ask your friends? Ask someone you really know and trust? No! You go to the internet and ask some randos. But I'm not talking about creeps here, I hope. No, I mean the people of the internet! You know, those people who make how-to videos. Because chances are, if you're trying to figure out something, someone on the internet has already figured it out for you. Things like, how do I unsend a text? No. How do I do a winged eyeliner? How do I get rid of the zit by Friday night? How do I get out of gym class? How do I screen cap Snapchat without getting caught? They'll never know. But then there are things in life that don't have an easy fix, that don't have a simple solution, that don't have a how-to video. Things like what to do when you have problems with family, or when it seems like you have no control in your life, or what to do when someone has done something to you. I mean, clearly, they gotta go. The truth is, there's a lot of life that doesn't have a solution you can just find online. So how do you know what to do when you don't know what to do?
Hello, New Garden students. Happy Wednesday. Welcome back to another teaching video. This week we're starting a new series called What to Do When You Don't Know What to Do. So I challenge you to say week 1 of what to do when you don't know what to do 5 times fast. Let me know if you can do it. But before we get started, I want to remind you that this Monday we are starting Monday Night Crew. If you were involved with Monday Night Crew last summer, you remember that it was pretty awesome. We spent time reading scripture together. We talked about leadership, and it was a really awesome growth experience for everyone who was involved. And if you are curious about discipleship, which is just a fancy word for following Jesus, then Monday Night Crew is for you. If you want to read the Bible more regularly, Monday Night Crew is for you. If you are bored on Mondays at 4 p.m. and want to hang out with people, Monday Night Crew is for you. So I hope you will join us starting this Monday for Monday Night Crew at 4 o'clock on Zoom. It's going to be awesome. So see you then. We are also going to be on Zoom on Wednesday at 7. Yes. Gotta keep all my Zooms straight. Wednesday at 7, talking about this lesson that we're about to get into and hanging out together. So I hope to see you there. But I want to ask you, as we kick off this new series, have you ever felt like you were living in 2 different worlds? Like the way that you act at school and around your friends is a little bit different from the way you act at home. And I know right now we're all at home a little bit more. So I want to ask you if there's anything that you've noticed that you do at home that you probably wouldn't do in those other worlds usually, in normal life, if you will. Things that are okay at home, not bad, but just maybe a little bit weird to do in public, right? I think we all have things like that. Like, I probably won't be listening to my Bachelor Recap podcast out loud when I go to the dentist tomorrow, even though I might listen to it out loud at home. We all have some things that we do in different places, and they're okay at home, and maybe they're not as okay in public. And they might be a little bit weirder things at home. They also might be, like, maybe we're all a little bit more ourselves at home, which means sometimes we're a little bit more difficult at home. If we're honest with ourselves, I think we can probably admit that. But, for example, you wouldn't go to your friend's house and say, "You cooked lasagna tonight? I don't like lasagna. Like, can your mom make me something else?" You probably wouldn't say that, but if you're at home, you might say that if you don't like lasagna, which, who doesn't like lasagna? Or you probably wouldn't leave your dirty socks on your desk at school, but you might leave them on the floor of your room for a few weeks. So there are just different things that we do at home that we probably wouldn't do in other places. And I think part of that reason is that we are filtering all of these things through how it affects us. We talked a lot about the you effect in our last series and the way that we affect other people, but right now we're going to be thinking about the way we respond to what affects us. So if you are at home and your parents say, we're having lasagna for dinner, and you don't like that, then your response is because of the way that affects you. I don't like lasagna, I want to have something else. Or maybe you are having to go to your siblings' band concert or their game or something, but you have other plans, and so that affects you in a way that you don't like, and your response comes out as a result of that. So we all can have maybe a negative response to the way things affect us, especially when it comes to the people right around us, the people we're in our homes with, and I think that probably has been a little bit amplified lately. Can't talk. So, the good news is, this is not a new thing. This is not a brand new problem that we're the first people to face who have maybe some difficult situations when it comes to dealing with family at home. That is good news. In fact, there are a lot of stories in the Bible about very sticky, complicated family situations. And for the next few weeks, we're going to be taking a look at one family who had a pretty messy situation. It was complicated. And so, to help you keep some characters straight, I've got a little visual for us, all right? So, during this series, we're going to be talking about Joseph, as in Joseph and the Coat of Many Colors. And so, this guy over here is Joseph, but we've got to start at the beginning to really get a grip on how complicated this whole family is. So, this man, that's Jacob, okay? Jacob fell in love with Rachel. He loved her so much that he wanted to marry her. And so he went to his wedding where he was planning on marrying Rachel. And then turns out he couldn't see her face when they were getting married, and he accidentally married her sister Leah because she was older. And her father tricked him into marrying Leah. That's tricky already. So he ended up working for Rachel and Leah's dad for 7 years so that he could also marry Rachel. So now Jacob is married to these sisters, Rachel and Leah. Already a complicated situation, not to mention that he also knows these two ladies and has kids with them after that. So the saddest part of all of this is that he originally loved Rachel and she is his favorite, but she can't have any kids until one day she suddenly becomes pregnant and gives birth to our guy, Joseph, who ends up being his favorite kid. So now we've got this big group of guys, 12 sons. So between one dad, 4 moms, 12 sons. That is a recipe for some Netflix level drama, if you ask me. A lot is gonna happen between all of these people, and today we're just getting started. Definitely a complicated family situation. So, we are going to be talking about Joseph and the way he affected his family, the way that he interacted with his family, and how it got complicated. So we know that Joseph is Jacob's favorite son. He is the son of his favorite wife, and everybody knew, which is already awkward. All the sons knew that Joseph was the favorite, and he got this robe from his dad, and it was awesome. And think about if one of your parents got your sibling the newest iPhone and you didn't have a phone at all. It's that kind of situation. This was a big deal and everybody was noticing. So we're starting in Genesis 37 in verse 6. Joseph said to his brothers, "Listen to this dream I had. We were binding sheaves of grain out in the field when suddenly my sheaf rose and stood upright. while your sheaves gathered around mine and bowed down to it. So he's saying we were out like binding this grain, and then I'm imagining it like as a VeggieTales cartoon, like all these bundles of grain start bowing down to the one that's Joseph's. Right? This isn't just a normal dream. This isn't me waking up and saying, like, you want to hear a weird dream I had? This is like a power move on Joseph's part. He was saying, I had a dream that all of y'all, my older brothers, are going to bow down to me and I'm going to be in charge. Not really getting off on the right foot right here. So he goes on in verse 8. His brothers said to him, do you intend to reign over us? Will you actually rule us? And they hated him all the more because of his dream and what he said. So there's a lot of tension happening here. The brothers already know that Joseph is the favorite, and now he's saying all this stuff about he's going to be in charge, and they hate him. Like, so much so that later on they're going to sell him into slavery. Like, this is very intense because they are hyper aware of how Joseph is being treated and the way that it's affecting them, right? Joseph, not as much aware of the way his favoritism was affecting his brothers. So we're looking at this story to show us that family has always been complicated. I'm sure you can think of complicated things in your family and think, we must be the first people to deal with this. Probably not. Family has always been a messy thing. Second, to teach us to pay attention to how our actions and situations affect the people around us, the people we live with, because they do. And also to remind us that tension left unresolved is only going to get more and more tense. And we're definitely going to see that in the story of Joseph. So there are a few things that probably could have gone a little differently to ease some of this tension, right? First of all, Joseph may not have been the most self-aware person in sharing the way his dream put him at the center of everything, and saying, I'm probably going to rule over all of you. That definitely had an effect on his brothers, and not the most positive one. Also, the dad, Jacob, probably could have seen the way that his favoritism toward his son was affecting his entire family and causing a lot of this tension. And also, the brothers probably could have been like, yeah, that was a dream, not taking it quite as seriously. And maybe it wouldn't have gotten so much more intense as the story goes on. But the point of all of this is that we all have a role in the way our family functions. It's interesting to look at like where you fall in your family and maybe how you act because you're the oldest, or how you act because you're the only girl, or whatever it is. But the truth is that we have a role to play in our family, and we affect the people who are in our homes with us. So what I want you to do is pay attention to how you affect your family. Sounds pretty simple, right? And that might be a frustrating thing sometimes, because there might be a tense moment in your house and you know that you may be the source of the tension. And that's okay. Let's recognize it and we'll deal with it. But it might also be a cool thing, because you get to recognize the way that you affect the people around you, the people who are closest to you. And you have power in what that effect is. So when you're looking at the way you affect your family, also be thinking, what kind of role do you want to play? And that might be, like, you might not know where to start when it comes to that. And so I want to look at Philippians 2, 3 through 8. Paul is writing to the church in Philippi, and they are a family of sorts, right? A church family. And so this is his suggestion. Do nothing out of selfish ambition or vain conceit. Rather, in humility, value others above yourselves, not looking to your own interests, but each of you to the interests of others. In your relationships with one another, have the same mindset as Christ Jesus, who, being very nature God, did not consider equality with God something to be used to his own advantage. Rather, he made himself nothing by taking the very nature of a servant, being made in human likeness. And being found in appearance as a man, he humbled himself by becoming obedient to death, even death on a cross. So Paul is saying, this is the example that Jesus has set, to look to the interests of people around us, to not value ourselves too highly, and to serve other people and have that be our effect. Have that be the role that we play within a family. So that is my challenge to you, is to pay attention to the way you affect your family and to strive towards this, to look for ways that you can act in humility and to be a servant to the people around you and to love them well. It doesn't mean it's easy. It's complicated. Every family functions in a different way. So that means your role is completely unique and you have power over making it a positive effect. So that is what we're going to be talking about on Zoom at 7 on Wednesday. I hope to see you there and I hope you have a great day. So see you on Zoom.